Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Wednesday drawing session with me, Frank Cho. There's my trusty Pentel mechanical pencil with zero point 0.7 HB millimeter lead and my kneaded eraser. And here's my favorite paper to draw on, Strathmore Bristolboard 300 series with vellum surface. Today, I am going to draw Conquest from the Invincible comic book series and TV series. Conquest was actually a surprise hit for me. When I first saw him in the comic book, I thought he was absolutely incredible. I thought he was such a fun character because there was just no redeeming quality about him. He was basically a tank on two legs. So with that in mind, I decided to draw Conquest. Well, for his namesake, he just conquest destroyed an enemy and is just sitting in a throne made out of rocks and concrete and whatever, basically sitting in the ruins of his enemy's place. Now, Conquest is an older guy, so I want to make him, well, stay true to the comic book. So in the comic book, he's an older gentleman, an older Viltrumite, and he was kind of thick. He's built like a linebacker, and he has this really great prodigious mustache. A big old like Tom Selleck mustache. So actually, that's the funny thing about all the Viltrumites. All of them have, all of them have this mustache, which I thought was kind of funny. Not the women, thank God. So Conquest, with Conquest in mind, I automatically had this figure in my mind, and I wanted to make him basically just sitting in this throne of this ruined throne, looking like a complete boss. So Conquest had this basically like a square head with this big square jaw. And the great thing about Conquest is he has a very distinct look. Basically he's bald, has bald headed, and has this. And when you're bald, like he doesn't even shave his head. He just had just keep it, have the top part completely bald, and with his side hair, kind of like unkempt side hair, and with his big mustache. Um, it's actually kind of pretty funny. It's a pretty. I mean, I think he's a really cool looking character. So, like with that in mind, I kind of like to see him. I kind of envision him as like the old Batman in the Dark Knight, Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. So he's kind of like barrel chested with a thick waist. Um, he doesn't have a gut. I mean, but he's just like a thick guy all around. So when you're drawing him, you just want to make him like very, very intimidating. He's just very, just a very girthy guy. And his right arm, his half of his right arm is just a mechanical hand, which is really cool. And so when you're drawing the rock, it's basically I really don't care about the technicality of the rock. I just at this point I'm just drawing in shapes, just blocking in shapes, just to make it look good. So I'm really just at this point of the drawing, I just want to like get the right shape in. So I'm just like drawing all these like jagged rocks, that kind of forms into like this, like a primitive throne. And I decided at the last minute to kind of have his the alien head as his footrest. So I thought that was kind of a like a cool touch So the Invincible series was created by Robert Kirkman and Ryan Otley and Corey Walker. So Ryan Otley did absolutely a brilliant job of just basically portraying, coming out with Conquest. So I wanted the have this kind of like a dramatic spotlight on Conquest. So he has this overhead light that's kind of bathing him in almost like a spotlight. So with that in mind, I kind of start drawing all the different shadows on his face. So yeah, if you want to draw Conquest, just draw a bald guy with this big old mustache. You're halfway there. Yeah, he has that little bit of hair, on top of his head, and his side hair is all kind of like swept, and he has this really gnarly scar across his face, and his right eye is, I guess, destroyed or ruined when he received that scar. So the fun part is just laying out the figure. You just want to like when you're laying out the figure, just you just kind of want to like really focus on the flow to kind of give it that weight. You don't want to like have them all like stiff and upright and all that. You just want to kind of convey in the figure work that he just had a really good workout, and now he's just kind of relaxing, sitting down and just relaxing on a couch. So those of you guys who aren't really familiar with the Invincible series, was actually a really fun book. I think it ran for like 144 issues. So it's a story of basically of Mark Grayson, and his father is Omni Man, essentially Superman, and so Mark Mark Grayson, his power comes to the forefront, is developed when he's 17. So Mark basically becomes a superhero Invincible, basically becomes Superboy. And then he basically learns how to use his power for good and all that. So in some ways, it's kind of like Superboy and Spider Man, and Spider Man being one of my favorite superheroes of all time. The comic book had that really good charm. It's about a young man trying to figure out how to be an adult. All the growing, the problems of growing up, and and being a superhero, being the most powerful, one of the most powerful superhero on the planet. Now the twist is, I mean, Robert Kirkman did a brilliant job of putting in this wicked twist. So Omni Man, Invincible's father, who is basically Superman, turned out to be the villain of the story. Um, I guess I should kind of give a bit of a warning, those who haven't read it. So anyway, so Mark has to ultimately fight his dad, and it's actually kind of, I don't want to give too much away, but it's actually really, you guys need to just pick it up and read the whole comic book series. It's actually really It's a really good story. And then so his dad comes from the Viltrumite Empire, and they're basically it's an empire of Superman and Superwoman, Supergirls. So so I mean, with that in mind, I don't want to give too much away, but that's what it is, and and it's actually a really good story. It's so you guys should just try it out. I mean, don't take my word for it. Just go check out the comic book. So I'm just like drawing rocks. When I'm drawing rocks, there's no. I really don't think too much about it. I just like want to get the basic shape down. So Conquest is basically the Viltrumites cleanup, the cleanup crew. He basically goes in to planets that have pretty much giving the Viltrumite Empire problems, and his job is to basically go to the planet and just completely level it and bring the entire planet on its knees. And so, so I mean that's one of the coolest character ever. I mean there is no redeeming quality about this character. I mean his job is to break the planet, break the planet, break the government, break the people, and just drive them to their knees, and just completely like bring the whole planet into the Viltrumite Empire. And so again, I just love the overall design of the character. He's just this basically this old war savage, war veteran, and if I remember correctly, he is the most second most strongest Viltrumite in the Empire. I guess the strongest is the Emperor, and Conquest is like the second most strongest Viltrumite, and he's basically a one man wrecking crew. So yeah, I mean, so yeah, like you need like a big square jaw on when you're drawing Conquest. That's another big thing that you need to kind of focus on. I really need to go back and reread the comic book series because I actually forgotten a lot of details about the different characters and the plot. So Amazon is doing the Invincible cartoon, and it's actually really great. And Robert Kirkman is on hand, really staying on top of the animation and the storyline. So it's actually Kirkman has rewritten parts of it to make the overall story deeper and streamlined and deeper and all that. And so it actually is kind of like it's really nice to see the cartoon and also read a comic book because even though they are essentially the same, uh, Robert Robert Kirkman tends to go in the cartoon, rewrite, tweak things, and make it more accessible and deeper in certain parts. And like this in the cartoon of Invincible, when Conquest shows up, I mean, there's a great line where Conquest is very self aware of who he is, and it's kind of heartbreaking because he's a psychopath, but at the same time, he knows that he's a weapon, and there's nothing, and he's kind of pretty much has embraced his status, his path in life, and it's quite heartbreaking. You know, I mean, there's a great speech in the cartoon, which wasn't in the comic book. So this is after Conquest has beaten, pretty much beaten Invincible to, to a pulp. And before he's gonna kill him, he basically kind of like confessed to Invincible of of who he is, or his feelings. And it's actually kind of heartbreaking because like Conquest basically tells him, I'm going to just read from the dialogue. Conquest tells Invincible, I am so lonely. All the other Viltrumites are scared of me. No one talks to me. No one wants to be my friend. They think I am unstable. They send me from planet to planet, committing atrocities in their name. And as I get better at it, they fear me more and more. I am the victim of my own success. So it's actually kind of like it's kind of sad when this this basically this human weapon kind of confess that he's basically he has no friends, and but he has accepted his lot in life. Again, that was completely caught me off guard, when he gave that speech in the cartoon. Because in the comic book, it tends to be kind of a bit one dimensional, but in the cartoon, he's more fleshed out. He's more 3 dimensional. So just going back and just drawing the arm, you know, his mechanical arm, and his mechanical knuckles. Again, Ryan Otley did a beautiful job of just kind of like bringing Conquest to life in the comic book. I mean, just the battle sequence that Ryan Otley drew in the comic book is just absolutely incredible. I mean, they're so kinetic and dynamic. I mean, I think Ryan Otley draws the best blood splatter I've ever seen in the comic book. I mean, especially the Conquest storyline. Every page is just absolutely just drenched with blood. And the great thing about the comic book is when the Invincible and Conquest fight. I mean, just the just the sheer destruction of two superpower beings, of basically two Supermen fighting in the city is very very well done and very stark. I mean, like it's not like DC comic, where everything's nice and kind of pristine and clean. When Ryan was drawing the superhero battles, it is just absolutely just a thing of thing of beauty. And it's very it's just like a visual blood soaked opera, you know. So since the light source is on from the top, you have to draw in all the shadows, below. Yeah, I just love drawing, monsters and brutes and stuff like that. Even though I'm known for drawing very pretty women, I actually enjoy drawing monsters and brutes more because I don't have to be very precise. I can just I can just have go in and just absolutely just have fun, just make things ugly and all that. Don't get me wrong, I love drawing women, but I actually draw. I could be more. There's more freedom when drawing monsters and brutes, and basically these giant, hulking, grotesque guys. So drawing the leg. Yeah, their costume is a little kind of very unique. This They have this weird, loincloth kind of thing, um, but it works, from a design point of view. Is very unique. Yeah, as you guys see, that I like to kind of like, smear things, smear the graphite, just kind of give it a more of a softer tone in the shadow sometimes. Yeah, drawing legs in this angle is kind of, tricky, but if done right, it actually looks great because you're basically having a, kind of a foreshortening angle. I mean, I don't want to give too much away. I mean, but, this, uh, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but you guys need to really read the comic book and look at the cartoon if you want to get a full understanding of, Conquest. And just drawing that arm, drawing that big giant boulder behind him. I enjoy drawing rocks because I get to kind of like, kind of cross hatch things, and because I enjoy cross hatching. Again, rubbing the graphite in. Just give it that extra. Rubbing the graphite just kind of soften things and just give it that extra, that three-dimensional look. Just adding the details of their costume. And he has this big round symbol with this like three vertical lines. Actually, I need to go back and read, if that symbolizes anything. The three vertical lines. And always those abs. Definitely didn't skip those ab days. Drawing his hands. And I said in my other video, I mean, if you really want to learn how to draw hands, look at Neil Adams. Neil Adams was like the master of drawing these beautiful hands. So that's what I do. Every time I want to, if I get stuck on hands or something like that, or if I need inspiration on how to draw hands, I look at Neil Adams stuff all the time. Hell, I look at Neil Adams stuff in general just to get to get inspired. Neil Adams and Garcia Lopez, those two guys are absolutely just master artists when it comes to human anatomy. So at this point, I'm just kind of like roughly getting the rough shape of the rocks and just start shading things in. Just darkening the leg area to have it just completely bathed in the shadows. Yeah, Conquest definitely didn't skip leg days. Yeah, since the light is hitting from the 12 o'clock position, you want the line top of the leg to be kind of thin. So those lines that is in the shadows, you want to make it thicker. Drawing that mechanical hand. I really need to go back and reread the comic because I have no idea what happens to Conquest. Um, I know that Invincible, Mark Grayson ultimately defeats him, but he comes back. I know that he comes back for round two, and I'm not sure what happened at the end. This is driving me nuts. I need to go back and dig up my old Invincible comic books and read what happens to Conquest ultimately. But he actually is a really fun character. Just kind of like I enjoy characters who are just absolutely in it. You know, they're just like they just give 110% in everything they do, so to speak. And Conquest basically enjoys his job of basically destroying planet. Kind of erasing the cloth folds around the knee. Yeah, I thought that foot was a little too small, so I just had to kind of enlarge it. So I just had to have fun and add the alien's head. So I like to add a little, kind of a nod to other characters when I draw because I just have fun doing stuff like that. Yeah, the alien is one of the coolest design I've ever seen. It's one of the best design alien design that I've ever seen. And Giger, the guy who designed it, is absolutely his stuff is just. If you like dark art, I mean, he is like the absolute grandmaster of dark art. Some of the stuff is a little not my cup of tea, but his design on the alien is just absolutely incredible. Yeah, I'm just at this point. I'm just wanna get all the rocks down. So when you're drawing figure work, you don't want to draw too much lines in it, especially women. When you're drawing women, you don't want to add too much cross hatching and lines. Guys is okay, and rocks, especially rocks. Yeah, just go crazy with the cross hatching and all that. The more cross hatching you do on the rocks, it just makes it that much better. But on the female figure, you don't want to add too much line work in it because it just when you add too much lines in women, they tend to look older and more masculine. But if you're drawing guys and all that, yeah, you can add as many lines as you want, within reason. But when you're drawing like rocks and rubbles and debris and all that, yeah, you can just cross hatch all you want. The guy who was actually a really great, beautiful inker was Barry Windsor Smith. I think his line work is absolutely, his ink line stuff was just absolutely beautiful. The way he cross hatched things. There is, I'm adding that I'm so lonely dialogue from the cartoon. I thought that was a hoot. I actually, I need to go back and correct it because I think the actual line is, "I am so lonely," not "I'm so lonely." So at this point, I'm just kind of like darkening the outline of the figures and the rocks and stuff like that. Adding those little cracks on the rock surface. I mean, I love drawing rocks. I love drawing rocks and trees and stuff like that. I've always been like an organic artist. I mean, I can draw buildings and cars and all that, and motorcycles and stuff like that, but I just don't get the same amount of enjoyment I do when I'm drawing rocks and trees and just nature stuff. I think Frazetta and Bernie Rice and a lot of guys were like that. You know, they were basically organic guys. They enjoy drawing creatures and nature stuff. The guy who loves drawing mechanical stuff and buildings and cars and all that, that's Jeff Darrow. Jeff Darrow's an absolute master of drawing all that kind of stuff. No, Jeff Darrow's another guy. Every time I feel uninspired, I look at his stuff because his stuff is just highly detailed and kinetic and just surreal and just absolutely fun. Just kind of like adding the scar across his face a little bit more pronounced, adding a little more detail to it. Having fun with the shadows. Just adding touch ups. Just adding the final touches. And there it is. Conquest from the Invincible series. Absolute boss.